Hello and welcome to another episode of the Compile Swift podcast. I'm your host, Peter Whittam. In this podcast, we talk about everything related to Apple platforms and Apple development, including macOS, iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, tvOS, and any other OS they've invented this week. So with that, let's get on with the show. So first up this week, unless you've been living under a rock, which actually might be advisable at the moment and probably the safest place, Apple has finally come out, just like all the other conferences, and said they're not going to be doing an in-person conference this year because of the coronavirus, the COVID-19. And in fact, they will have an all-new online experience, which actually I think plays into the hands of Apple here a bit. It gives them an opportunity to do something new and try something very different. And you have to wonder if maybe Apple's been thinking about rebuilding the conference in a different way, and this is given an opportunity to try out some ideas. So if you go over to developer.apple.com and go /WWDC20, you'll see some details there. There's not really too many details at the moment. It's a pretty cool graphic, which, is kind of like the back of an Apple laptop with the Apple logo and some stickers on there, kind of a developer thing going on. Basically, right now it says to stay tuned and to go ahead and get the Apple Developer app, which you can download in the store for iOS devices and Apple TV. Not sure if there's a Mac app yet. I don't recall. You have to wonder if maybe they're going to be doing something with Catalyst and do it that way. But anyway, it's going to be online this year, which is going to be very interesting because it kind of levels the playing field for a lot of people. Everyone's going to have the same experience, essentially, but you also wonder if maybe they might have either live streamings or if they're going to do more of the pre-recorded sessions that we saw last year where, they had some engineers sort of pre-record the session and then put them up afterwards. Either way, it's going to be cool. It's not going to be long now. I'm sure, June's going to come around quickly, even though they haven't announced the dates yet. So that's the WWDC20 for this year. So, it took Apple a while, but I think that we all knew they were going to make this decision in the end. So let's take a quick break, and when we come right back, I'll have another topic.
Time for a break.
Let's talk about Spotify for a second. I've been a long time, many-year user of Spotify Premium, but there's also a free version you can use, so it won't cost you anything. And one of the things that I love about Spotify is I can combine all of my music from the massive library that they have, along with all of the podcasts that I listen to. And you obviously like podcasts because you're listening to this one. So on Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts to make sure that you never miss an episode. They're just delivered right to you. And it's also super easy to share with other people. I'm always sharing on Instagram and all the other social networks on my devices, things that I listen to on Spotify. So go ahead and download the Spotify app today and search for the Compile Swift podcast. It's in there along with all the other podcasts you like to listen to, I'm sure. So go ahead and download the Spotify app today.
Break time over.
My second topic this week is a little bit of self-promotion. I have a series of videos that I've been working on. I have an open source application for iOS that you've heard me talk about before. It's available on GitHub. I'll put a link in the show notes, code notes for iOS. It's an iPad application that was sort of an experiment and a way for me to learn some things about making an iPad application. Well, it came around to wanting to do a version 2, and this was the perfect opportunity to start working with Swift UI. I thought to myself, why not make this a series of videos available for people this time instead of just putting code out there? And because it takes me a while to put these together and I had to fit them in with my work schedule and personal life and everything else, I thought, okay, it's time to put some premium content out there and to give people, good value for money. So what I've done is you can find it on Patreon. It's on patreon.com/PWCOM. You'll also find links in the show notes for this episode. And if you go to compileswift.com, you'll find links to become a Swift subscriber there as well. And what it's going to be is, right now there's an hour and a half, approximately an hour and a half of video of me rebuilding the application using Swift UI for the iPad. Eventually, I'm going to make it cross-platform. There's some plans to use iCloud to sync the data and all of these things. So you're going to learn all of these as we go along. It's not all there right now. It's a work in progress, especially since, Swift UI is still in such an early version 1. So I expect that probably by the time WWDC happens this year, there'll be a version 2 and we'll have to revisit some of that. But you'll get to experience me showing you how to build an application. It's kind of a master detail application, as you can imagine. You've got to have a list of notes on the left and then the detail pane on the right. So if you're new to Swift UI, and let's be honest, who isn't at this point, or even if you're just new to iOS development and you want to get into Swift UI, which is certainly a great way to start learning to develop, you can sign up as a Swift subscriber. And not only do you get all of this content that's there now, but you're going to get a whole bunch of future premium content as well that'll only be available to subscribers. So there's going to be this entire process of making this application, and I have plans to put a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. And honestly, at the moment, as you can see, it's set at $4 a month, and I think it's pretty darn good value for money. If you think about it, that's an hour and a half video right now for $4. Plus, on top of that, there's going to be all of this new content that will be continued to appear in the stream for it as well. So I think it's a pretty effective way for you to not only help support the building of that course, but all the work that I do, including compileswift.com, including this podcast and my other work and the blog posts and everything else that I do, the YouTube videos. It's just a way for you all to basically, tell me that it's worth doing and to help fund the costs for software and hardware, because they do add up. But at the same time, I love making this stuff for everybody, and I want to put it out there, but it can get expensive as a kind of a one-person independent deal, as you can well imagine. So again, go to patreon.com/PWCOM. Right now, I'm diving into some, Swift UI stuff. There'll be some combined later on, some Catalyst and all these other things. And of course, there's bound to be a whole bunch of new technologies come out this year from Apple as well. Very soon, I'm expecting to put out some videos on starting some testing. I'm working on those this week, and we will take it from there. So that's it for this week. Just a quick episode, really, just to catch up a little bit and give you the latest on the all-important conference for us as Apple developers. So if this has been helpful, please like, subscribe, leave some comments, leave a review in your podcast of choice. Apple iTunes is always a good one. That's one that I've gone back to using again. You can reach out to me on Twitter @CompileSwift. You can, of course, go to compileswift.com/contact and reach out to me there. I love listener questions. I've had a few, and I'm working on some answers for you, so expect those to appear soon. But by all means, if you have any questions about iOS development or Swift, please reach out, and I'll see if I can help you. Either answer it in this podcast or reply to you personally, or maybe it'll be something for a video, something like that. So also, if you have any questions about the courses appearing on Patreon, please reach out again, contact on compileswift.com. So that's it. I'll speak to you again soon.